based on different kind of prototype development, urban planning, because in South Asia, in Asia Pacific, lot of city is developing, lot of planning is happening, lot of improvement is happening. So everywhere, many time I also introduce different kind of big corporations and media for collaborations with the Sport TV. So as a team, we are getting very positive result because of these politicians, these diplomat, these corporation, these NGOs, universities, everybody joining in our ecosystem. So that's why we go for a conference, definitely scientific conference. Recently, we do conference with French, like this innovative academic research publishers. Also, I mentioned uh, this ACI, definitely it's based in USA, and this World Talent Economic Forum symposium based on climate innovations. And I mentioned that is the future. That is the future of economy. I write a book on Silk Route 3.0, and the 600 million peoples, and they have very good demographic, like around 60% population youth, those who are under 30 years old. So this is a very good market, and this is demanding. Improvement is happening. So these are the places we heavily focus. Definitely, you have lot of audience from this community, from the South Asia, and from this Himalaya, Gonga, Podda, and Bay of Bengal region. And Pod TV can create a branding and engage with this community. And I want to invite you all through your media, because today is a media show, through your media in our communities. And I believe that especially there is one specific proposal what we are doing with IIT Madras, Australia. It's called Skittree. We are actually converting our the symposium, conference, and all other things as a classroom material, and through this process we can easily get involved with these 100 million peoples, especially those who are youth. So this kind of intellectual activities and projects, I think Pod TV can work with us. Pod TV can contribute with us. You can visit our country. We have good culture, good food,
Good
good
food.
weather, lot of lot of people, and I am sure Kimberly, Nick Palveda, and Sasha, everybody enjoy. And here is the future. That's what I'm sure. Here is the future of this economy. Asia, future of economy. You can contribute, and I want to welcome you all. And there are a lot of fans, those who really like Nick, Kimberly, Honorable David Walkers. They like it. And if you see, even not only Bangladesh, even Pakistan. Pakistan school started their class like this, like the Rehan school. They're all of the students go for podcast. They said, through podcast, we go for global network. And with global network, we build our own company. What World Talent Economy Forum doing through Pod TV. So it's now your Pod TV is model for Pakistan, model for Bangladesh, model for India. So yeah, Nick, thank you for giving me these opportunities, and there are a lot of things happening, and you can join with your team.
Well,
Okay,
media
and
exists
we
everywhere.
also
So.
have Sasha Starr has joined us from, and he actually runs 3 shows, which we're going to show up here in just a minute. Sasha, so what are the plans that you have in 2026? You have Ukraine, Russia, chess stars, and modern investing. What's your plans for 2026?
Well, let's start with chess stars. Chess is a several thousand years old game. It will be around for much, much longer than we can all think about. And there will be always news that deserve a weekly program to concentrate on some of the news. And there are all so many tournaments, especially online, that you can watch almost 24 hours a day. It's never been done before. It's a new age in chess. So I'm very grateful to my colleagues who are sharing this program with us, and I think it will stay. With Ukrainian show, I think that it will stay, or I hope it will stay, as long as the war is still there. Um, I don't believe in any peace deals, short term, long term, or any term. The Ukraine must defeat Russia on the front line, There must defeat them, get them all out of Ukrainian territory to the borders of 1991. And the recipe is very simple: killing every month 50,000 Russians. If Ukrainians can sustain that rate of damage to Russian army, Ukraine will take over. And it's happening right now as we speak. Now, speaking about economic shows, I'm afraid that while Trump is at power, the economy of US will go down big time, and stock market just as well. So you already see a little bit of happening last month, last Friday, a little bit of today. So that's what's going to happen more and more. And now even Magnificent Seven companies are not immune to this malaise that what's happening in US. So I'm getting myself personally, I'm getting very, very selective what I do. I definitely diminished all my positions. I still have high-paying dividend stocks, so that keeps me still making money even in this market. But rather than that, I'm not very optimistic. So we'll continue with the shows, and we'll elaborate on what's happening. But there's very little that we can do to help the market or U.S. economy.
Yeah, Kim, we had some movement on timeshare solutions or surrender. Can you tell us what's going on there? Apparently, there's been some communication that you've had with the senators in the United States Congress people regarding suicides that actually took place from people that took timeshare. And now they're looking to create a federal bill to stop some of the timeshare abuses.
Well, I don't know that you're going to stop the scams or creating victims, but what it's going to do is establish some stepping stones that we need to prevent the scams. But again, you have to have honest people working at the establishments, and you have to have a means to enforce the bill. And so far that I have read it, there's no means to enforce, right? So it says you can't do this, but it doesn't say what will happen if you do. But I do believe that when you put the stepping stones in place to help prevent a crime, you're heading in the right direction. It will help Timeshare Solutions and other people who are advocates for victims, and and give them a little bit of leeway to negotiate settlements. But again, it's just a stepping stone. We do have two senators, Schiff and Senator Curtis from Utah. And I think Curtis was the one who championed the bill. He's in your neck of the woods, Nick. And we would love an opportunity to sit down and speak with him. He has been communicating directly with Irene, which is what should be happening. Irene has stepped up the plate to, generate a huge group of people to advocate and help stand and support this, because without people supporting it, like you and I learned, even when we sat down with Tom Tillis, a lot of bills go to sleep because there's not enough people reminding that senator how important that bill is, not just to him, but to the people. So you have to have a lot of people advocating, continuously pushing and notifying their senators this is what they want. I think it's going to save people a lot of money. It's going to, cut back on the court's time being wasted, because really, in all honesty, if there were a few laws in place to make things a little bit better in this scenario, and you just have to watch the show to hear the stories of all the scams. But I think that this would lessen the burden on the courts and, open up space for more, heavy criminal. Do I think it's a crime what timeshares are being allowed to do? Yes, I do. But it's unethical, and unethical isn't always a crime. So
we should talk about what they do, which is maybe you're on vacation. You get invited to come to a timeshare presentation. and there's a nice, like, you might get a free night in a hotel, you might get a nice dinner for two. There's a nice reward for doing this. And then you come and you spend 3 hours getting an increasingly hard sell on buying the timeshare. They might be giving you drinks, so you might be kind of shit-faced by the end of the 3 hours, and they and it's like buying a car where they keep hitting you with new people, and you try to negotiate, and they're like, well, I don't know if they dazzle you, they BS you, and they push you into signing this deal, and then when you sober up and realize what you've done, you can't get out of it.
Well, by the way, they do that in
The
Turkey.
period is too short, and it begins at the moment of signing a contract. But it's a complete misrepresentation of oil representation, a bait and switch, so to speak. What they sell you and pitch to you, and maybe even put on your phone as an app and show you this is what you get, is not the contract you signed. But they will say, but you signed the contract and you said you understood it. But people come back and go, but that's not what I was told in a 3-hour meeting, that you totally dehydrated me and starved me and had me mentally deranged before I signed it. And like you said, maybe some are drunk. I've heard people do recordings. We've heard recordings where people were drunk. They even said, we've had too much to drink, we don't want to engage in this. And it was push, push, push until they signed. So, yeah.
Also,
They-
in our parents' generation, in the 70s and 80s, timeshares could be a decent value. But I think since then, they've become just like devalued and pretty much a scam.
It's
Hey,
not
Megan, Kim, I
value,
wonder-
it's you can't really ever use them for, like, if they're selling you points, the points never are enough. You always have to buy more. If they're selling you property, the HOA fees cost more. Some people are paying close to $400,000 in HOA fees for 1 week use. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Some people my age have fond memories of going on timeshare vacations with their parents when it was a decent value in like 1985. And then they try to step into that world and get their asses handed to them.
Well, they get it because if they inherited it, they inherited now the debt and the obligation to pay that debt. There is no way out. You can't even die and get out. The contracts cause anyone who inherits anything you own, and it doesn't have to be written in the will or anything. It's written in that contract that your family or whoever inherits this debt. They inherit a debt they can't get out of unless they notify the courts a few weeks after you died they don't want it. And quite honestly, most people don't realize what the contract is, that people are inheriting it, or the children. They've never read the contract. Like you, they just went and enjoyed the time. So they have no idea what they're getting. They have no idea the obligation. But somewhere there should be a means to exit. But rescission period should begin from the point that you get to truly access and use it, to book your appointments. Because from that point on, whether you were sold a scam.
Yeah.
So,
Sasha had a point.
Okay. I travel a lot. And this time, I just came back from Curacao. I decided to attend time sharing presentation. Why did I do so? Because friends of ours who also had the same vacation in the same place, they've signed for it. And I asked, you want to buy something? What's the purpose you signed? They said, well, we saw where we are traveling. They're going all the way through Willemstad, so we will see the city. And then we will see another hotel and casino. And then we will go there, and there will be a lunch, and then they will drive us back. So why not? Yeah, it's 3 hours waste of time. But however, the taxis in Curacao are extremely expensive. So you're going there free of charge. You have food and so on. Okay, so at the end of the day, you'll say you need to go to hospital ASAP, and you will finish this stupid presentation. That's what we did, and that's exactly we played it as planned. Or so. But let me ask you a question, though. The person who provided us with the tour of the property, explaining, doesn't matter that we didn't need her explanation, but she did the best job possible. She showed the bungalows and she showed the luxury suites and this, and explained everything and so on. Tell me, in truth, this person who spent, say, 2 hours with us, should that person get paid? Obviously, they're not going to get paid by us, never. But they will be paid by the company, where the company derives the income which would allow to pay to these presenters. And we were not the only couples who will have this presentation. There were a lot, actually. Maybe some of them signed. So let's look at the business itself. Yes, there are some problems later on, as I'm aware of from what I heard. But the basics, you have to look at the basics. So you want to say that we don't care, this person, they don't deserve to be paid. Okay, I don't care whether they get paid and how much and when and so on. Not really. I mean, we live in a real world, and everything is based on money, 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 money. And who will provide that money, money, money? People sign. So people who sign, people who are, okay, I'm looking for a synonym of the word stupid. There must be something softer than that. Maybe naive. Okay, naive probably is the right word.
No, not even naive. Weakened.
Then what?
So weakened. They're just weakened and worn down, and many people are just eager to get on their vacation, and they hear a lot of positive, and why not continue this great experience you just have? So they're kind of weakened. They're not stupid, because quite honestly, there have been judges,
Kim,
prosecutors, and
I don't think that's what
Aren't
Sasha's
there
talking about. I'm just talking about New
judges?
York.
Tell me. Aren't there
Okay, but I
stupid
will tell
judges?
you how they're paid. Okay, and I hear this all the time when people come to these events, and maybe they gave you a free 3-day weekend or a huge reduction, or go to see a play or something. But they are paid through the HOA fees. That money comes back into the organization. Those HOA fees go up and up and up. There's also another fee called ARDA, which should be a optional fee that you click to say, I will pay it, but it is not. And on mine, now they say it's not supposed to be but once a year, but on mine, it was on every one of my bills every month, $7 a month. So if they're getting $7 a month from every person going straight into this organization, but who actually is selling to you, those people actually make a lot of money on sales. They make a lot. They sell, and it's not just the new sellers. They do upgrades, or somebody comes in and goes, I'm not really happy with this. I thought I bought this, and we spoke to someone who even admitted, I was wrong because I should have read the contract better. But because I'm the kind of person who takes accountability, what can I do to make this what I wanted? So they upsold him again. So he bought the upsell. This time he read the contract a little bit better. But then, 6 months later, he realized it wasn't what he wanted. And he came back and he said, how do I fix this? I'm going to take accountability. And they upsold that poor gentleman 3 times, if not 4. And he kept paying more, to the point that he was probably paying about $250,000 for a 1-week vacation. I know, Nick. I know. And I mean, I'm sitting there going, this guy takes accountability for everything he did, but he didn't take into account that they completely misrepresented the oil representation and closing of the sale. So, yeah.
One guy was trying to sell me the presentation. I was in Jamaica many years ago. So, and I was playing with my friend backgammon. So he would say, oh, come on, you'll have a good time. I'll give you some smoke. I'll give you everything and so on. I say, you know what? play backgammon. If you win, I will go to your presentation. If not, then just go.
Go away.
Oh, I beat him. He's a complete loser. But tell me, I just don't understand. Kim, is all this I don't watch these programs, the timeshare. But has anybody was successful to recover at least some of the money?
Yeah, actually,
What's
yes.
the mechanism? How they were doing? How
Yeah,
they were doing?
so there are exit companies, but they're a bigger scam. But yeah, I did. It was hard due diligence. I got scammed when I was in the grieving period of my husband. I ended up going to Chicago on the anniversary of his death a year later. So I was a little bit drunk when I got there, drinking mimosas up and Irish coffees down. When I got there, I didn't know that the discounted weekend I purchased came with a timeshare. They didn't tell me that. And I asked not to go because I told them I was still suffering from PTSD and couldn't read. And I'd had too much to drink. Can I come another time? They go, oh, no, we can't give you the room. Well, this is St. Patrick's Day weekend, and I'm not going to get a room in Chicago at this point. So I went in drunk, and they held us captive, basically my sister and I, for 4 hours. And by the end of it, I was dehydrated, hungover, had a headache, wanted to go get some food, wanted to get into my room. And, they kept hanging that over our head until my sister finally looked at me because they said, if you don't like it, you can give it back. And they also put an app on my phone and said, if you buy now, you can get 100,000 points and get a discount. Anytime you use one of our hotels, you can get a discount of 60% no matter where you go. And they put the app on my phone. And I text them a couple of times on how to use it. So that was the nail in their coffin. But I got every penny back.
Yeah.
But it was 2 years later, 2 years of fighting. The state attorney general stepped in to help. But but my nail in their coffin was they put an app on my phone, but the app actually belonged to the company for their employees only. So they took, so that was Timeshare Solutions helped me recover the money. We had already settled, but they helped me recover it because they didn't want to give me the money. But there are so many people out there that Timeshare Solutions have provided the do-it-yourself so that you're not paying to recover your money. And people have recovered $300,000. 300,000. Yeah. So Timeshare Solutions is a good organization. They're experienced. They're people with a lot of bite and passion, a lot of fight, but they provide the solutions for the people to go fight themselves. Go talk. If you're from this state, you got screwed in this state. This is the problem. You're from this state, you get sold and screwed in this state. And you ended up getting something for this state, or what attorney's going to represent you? What attorney? None.
Yeah.
None.
It seems like at the very least, if you're in a timeshare presentation, you should have your phone recording what they're telling you. So when it turns into a case, you can play it back and show that that you were bullshitted. Thing too is,
and we have that show coming up in about half an hour. So that show will be coming up in a half an hour, so we can actually get back to the media purpose of this show and everything. I have a question for you, Sasha, and all along those
lines.
You're right,
Rick. You're right.
Because that show will be coming up.
We have spies out there now. But I will tell people that in a lot of states, a recorded conversation in meetings like that might not be held
because certain states are two-party states where everybody has to agree to the recording.
But I make them agree that I bring a recording in now. I never go into any meetings and any at all. I don't even go to timeshare, but I just tell people I will be upfront and say I'm recording this meeting. If you have a problem, then we're not going to have a meeting. And I do it with exit companies because they're a bigger scam than the timeshares themselves. But at the end of the day, this is what I tell people: record it. Whether a court or not will hear it, the people will. And using that against them publicly on a TV show like what Irene has makes a difference. And I will tell you, she has grown tremendously, her viewership and the strength and numbers, because when we started, she maybe was dealing with 1 or 2 validated victims a month, maybe. She got calls all day long, but now she's dealing with 7 a day. 7 a day. So having that show gave her the exposure she needed to get to the right audience to come and get the help they need. So, but she could use some support right now if anyone wants to support her. These laws will help. So if y'all can go out and help push senators to support the transparency and timeshare bill. The biggest part to me is the misrepresentation of oral representation and the rescission period. I think the rescission period needs to be longer than 3 days from point of signing. So yeah, I mean, but not many people, Sasha, are as smart as you. I'm going to say a lot of smart people got screwed, but no, you go in saying you're not going to buy, but you're there for 3 hours, and that is a tactic they use. It's a hostage tactic to make people do what you want, but it's wrong, and that's the other law that should exist. No ifs, ands, or buts, because they say, oh, you're only going to be here an hour and a half, but they don't let you leave. So, or, they hold rooms over your head, and other people that were victims, they held their driver's license. You hand them your driver's license as you check in, and they don't give them back to you. I've seen people get up and threaten to beat the crap out of someone because they recorded it. Soon they're going to tell you can't bring your phones into these meetings. But to me, if anyone is trying to sell you something and they go, oh, this is the deal now, and you're not going to, that's bull crap. You can get that deal. Actually, you can go to eBay and buy these same timeshares for $1. The same ones that they're
because
selling.
People just need to get rid. But all right, to get back to the media, I've got a topic for you, Mark.
Okay.
Which is Elon Musk has gone plumb frickin' loco, which is bad for the world's richest guy who owns a major social medium. He has gone full white nationalist, racist psycho. If you're on Twitter and you're seeing all of his tweets, every tweet is like here's a black person who did something horrible. It's never a white person. It's always black crime. It's always.
Well, look where he comes from. Look where
I know his dad was a literal Nazi. Yeah. No, it's bad. Also,
Rick,
one
Rick,
more thing. He has pornified Grok. Grok is his AI, and according to this article, in order to win the AI wars, he has let Grok generate porn.
Rick, quick question: is this your first time on the internet?
No, I see it
I
every
mean,
Well, you do know that
been around for a
before
while.
the degree
paid
of
for it.
derangement
We're
from
paid for the
frickin'
internet.
Musk at this point is so it's
it's
one
not
of those
so-
hockey
You
sticks.
do know,
let's-
you
let's-
do know Elon Musk is in the Epstein files, right?
Yeah.
That's part of what we're going to be covering. Big, bold, and beautiful. He is the only one whose lawyer was able to have any of his responses replying to interrogatories. They were sealed, and if it weren't for a good clerk of court who keyed in every name of every person in the spreadsheet itself of a court record, like you can't delete that. That's there. You can make the court records blow up and disappear, which I'm sure that'll be next for Trump. But there he is in 2023. He's being subpoenaed, and he's dodging the subpoena like a dog, like he is dodging it. And I think in the court records, I recall reading, because I read so much, that they finally asked the judge, can we serve his attorneys? And then finally there was a reply sent back, but it was 100% sealed. 100% sealed. That's weird.
Sasha?
He's weird. He's sick.
Okay, you have to realize that not only Elon Musk, people like Peter Thiel, Trump himself, all close people to Trump. Oh, by the way, Mr. Putin is there several times. So essentially,
Les Wexner. founder of Victoria's Secrets.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, this is too
Big
many
time,
people.
big time.
Too many people. And what's very important is to understand that Trump, with the help of a technocratia people such as Musk, Peter Thiel, and many others, they've created a new order in United States. No more democracy. The election is defeated and will be defeated every time unless American people will start doing something drastic about the election. It will be won by the same party. So even if it's not Trump, so it's what's his name, G.D. Vance or some other idiot, and there's no there's no stoppage to it. In the meantime, as I said before, America is becoming second-rated power, losing all its soft power. The Europeans are getting more and more discouraged with the Trump and his policies, and not only that, I think in Asia and other countries, many other countries, the same situation. Canada, was historic. Canada is refusing to buy anything made in America, including F-35 fighters. So they're getting it elsewhere, Sweden or so. And Canada is not alone. Many European countries are doing the same thing. So this is not a recipe for a prosperous America and its economy. It's not. It's a recipe for disaster. And it's
There's only
coming.
one way to stop this, and that is to impeach him. And the only way to do that is to prove that he has violated tremendously, and that they have enough evidence. But I also think that being incriminated in the Epstein files, raping young girls and participating in the pedophile trade, I think that if you can do that and prove that his hands were 100% in it, which, erasing your name from the files did not erase the fact that you committed the crimes. I believe that would be one way but we have to impeach him. And then when you impeach him, you can impeach his staff. And one of the things that annoys me more than anything is to watch the Congress hearings of Noam and Peter, all of them, and they never answer. Never answer.
But
They
if you impeach
argue
Trump,
everyone. Yes.
if you impeach Trump, you end up with J.D. Vance.
No, you don't. When you impeach them, a full impeachment. It's not even called a full impeachment. An impeachment dissolves the whole administration. So J.D. Vance won't be next in line.
So just to point out, when I made the actual joke about, the first time, the reason I made that joke is because, one, this has been around for a very long time. Trump didn't start this. Trump didn't start the racism and so on and so forth. What he did is he gave a permission to be openly anti-Semitic, racist, whatever. He gave that permission to it because that's who his base was. Elon, we've known his history and know where he came from. Trump, we've known his history and how his father was pretty much part of the Klan or close to it. He was extremely racist. So we know these things. We know that. But now they've given a permission slip. They fought to release the Tate brothers. You know what the Tate brothers have done?
Yeah.
Just egregious things. So you have now Megyn Kelly going out there, Nick Fuentes, who's also a big speaker for the right wing, who's a big anti-Semitic racist individual. They have a platform. They have a big platform. They have a backing from his base that he's cultivated, which is also Elon Musk's base. Elon Musk has a following in that whole demographic as well. But it gets back to, since Trump has given that permission slip, we've seen what the young Republicans have in their hidden messages. They can make these jokes. They can say these things. It's all free game.
And it's not okay for us to.
But now you have, to get back to it, Megyn Kelly, who has a following, trying to justify, it wasn't child sex trafficking. The age, you have Nick Fuentes doing the same thing.
You got to tell their argument is that it's different to be horny for a 16-year-old than it is to be horny for an 11-year-old, even though Epstein was horny for both. But they're trying to whitewash.
Epstein preferred 11-year-olds.
What they're trying to do is protect the dear leader, because that's what he is. He's reached that status in their minds. This is why it's been pointed out that people call it a cult and so on and so forth. They're trying to protect and justify their reasoning for still supporting him. He can't be a pedophile. There was all these other people. So what, he dealt with children of this age. Well, technically in this state, when you give these technicalities and everything, trying to, brush it off as if it's, oh, well, it's this guy. Let me get a whataboutism and give a straw man argument around here because I want to deflect. That's all it is. They're trying to justify their support by saying everybody's doing it, so it's okay.
The headline right now on Drudge is that Russia, so Epstein started off as a high school math teacher without even a college degree. How did he turn into a billionaire? This headline suggests that Russia was bankrolling him. If he's going to be running a pedophilia ring, Russia loves that because they can get compromising material on all these rich, powerful people for leverage later on.
Well, it's a debatable too about whether Russia bankrolled him, but he was a genius in many ways and knew how to position himself. And ironically, he had some charm behind him. But when he worked at the private school Dalton, he positioned himself to be mentoring some of the richest kids there, whose parents were head of Bear Stearns. And so from that school, he went and started working at Bear Stearns. And then from there, they said that he climbed the ladder really fast. Like, he had nothing else to do because he was just himself. And so he just climbed the ladder faster and faster, made great contacts, great friends. But Les Wexner became his first biggest, tightest client that pretty much funded his business for the pedophile. He gave him the mansion that he worked out of, which was Les's biggest mansion. He gave Epstein and Trump pretty much a calling card because Epstein had full power of attorney over Les's businesses, all of them, and his personal life. And so anyone who saw Epstein or Trump and saw them in Les's mansion, and they would say, yeah, we're with Victoria's Secrets. And, they had the teen line. Parents were like, oh, that's credibility. My girls can go with them. So that was the biggest. That's how he built it.
Let's bottom line it and make it simple about what he really was. The man was the banker. He was a banker for a bunch of people. He ran their money. He bought an island. He was into kids. He found other people that were into these things as well.
Billionaire
Exactly. He gave them the
country
freedom
club.
to do whatever they wanted to, figure out their sexual fantasies, as well as, hey, we can make you a lot of money. Who's the biggest transactional person that we talk about right now? Donald Trump. Who's all in those Epstein files? Donald Trump.
I'm going to have to go.
Who was his biggest partner in all of this? Donald Trump. So we have an issue where the banker, his best friend, is transactional and would find women as well, who also had access to these individuals as well. So it's just, we just got to bottom line it and be blunt about it. Yeah, Epstein was the banker, and Donald Trump is transactional. He was part of the whole thing too.
When Biden was president, MAGA was going crazy, trying to argue that Hunter Biden was making these deals with foreign governments and routing the money to his dad, Joe. Even though freaking that would be retarded for a guy. Joe Biden had been in politics for 50 years and knew better and was not going to, probably not, anyway, we're talking about millions of bucks, but the New Yorker just came out with their update on how much Trump has made off of hinky deals in the first year of his presidency. As of August, they ran their first rundown that shows that Trump and family have made $3.4 billion off of the presidency in 8 months. But now they've updated it, and he's added another 600 million. Trump and family have made $4 billion off of shady deals in just a year.
And he's
But
doing
to Toby's point,
everybody, and nobody cares because, again, it gets back to let me justify what he's doing as okay because everybody else is doing it. So, hey, you didn't care when all these false equivalencies and everything, they're justifying it so they can still hold true the dear leader because he can't do anything wrong in their eyes. They'll never criticize.
Some of the hinky deals are if you have a company that depends on federal regulation, you just go ahead and you give Trump $1 million in stock in your company. And that paves the way for, some regulations that are favorable to you, including crypto regulation.
Well, there is no crypto regulation. He's actually taken all those regulations away because you don't want to trace those. Because there was one tracing where there's a company tied with the UAE bought $500 million of his cryptocurrency.
Right. I mean, the reason there's no crypto regulation, Trump used to be in favor of crypto regulation. That was before he and his kids owned 6 different crypto companies.
Yeah, they own 6 different crypto companies. But along those same lines, if I'm hearing you correctly, and if I'm hearing everybody correctly, and all along those lines, and I think that this has been stated, he literally could go out. I mean, there's been accusations of other presidents that have done this and everything like this, and murder somebody. His base wouldn't care, if I'm hearing Toby correctly, and everything like that, because they are of the opinion that he can do no wrong. And we all know that murder is supposedly wrong unless it's in a war situation or some other justifiable situation. But he could literally murder somebody just in cold blood and would not be blamed.
Here's the argument that comes up with what's going on with the different things of Trump. If he cured cancer, you wouldn't like him. The man cut cancer funds, continually cuts child cancer funds. He literally and this is the reason why his business, his nonprofit isn't up in New York. He stole money from a cancer patient. So, I mean, the dude can literally do whatever, and people will those who buy into him, buy into the myth that he's this great businessman, which he's not. They buy into the myth. They're going to justify whatever he does, regardless with E. Jean Carroll. He raped E. Jean Carroll. Oh, well, it wasn't really rape. Yes, it is. By all accounts, even the judge said that you can call it rape. All these things he's done. But
he definitely continues to do that and everything like that. Sasha, the point I was going to get to you, and by the way, I was going to tell Kim and Nick when they were here, but they're gone. Everybody on the network today, because I have had my Roku on and everything looks like that. Y'all all look great on TV because I've had the TV on in the background and everything like that. So just wanted to let you know, y'all all look great on the Roku set for those that are watching it, because I've had that on in the background and have turned around and checked it out a couple of times, even though I've got it on mute because I don't want to get feedback and everything like that. But Sasha, there was you do the Modern Investment Show. There's a couple of other shows that we have because they were talking about new shows. By the way, one of them just was dealing with breast cancer, and it's called The Butterfly Room, and that's with Toya. I believe her last name is Gleason or something like that. If I'm remembering, it's about bettering yourself and all along those lines, and that's every Friday at 8 p.m. And we're also looking at doing an agent show. So those Asian, as in like getting older. Those are some of the newer shows, and the Butterfly Room spinoff, just like you've had some spinoffs as well, Sasha. But of a commodity that I have not heard you talk about. I was listening to some financial, when they were talking about gold and they were talking about silver, and I've heard you talk about gold and silver, but they also mentioned platinum. Is platinum something that people should be looking at as an investment and all along those lines? Because they were talking about the things that were up in stock, and they were saying that gold was up, and apparently platinum is up as well. And usually when people think of platinum, they think of platinum records, but they meant the actual metal and everything like that. So what is your thoughts as somebody that is in the modern investment on platinum?
I think platinum is quite solid investment. It's not as popular and liquid as gold or silver. At the same time, it's not as volatile as gold and silver. So that's alternative. I wouldn't go into platinum simply because it's not just as liquid, and therefore your prospects are not as viable, I think, as in gold and silver. I would like to mention something about the Trump, that people are trying to put value on what he's doing for American people, and whether it works or it doesn't work. I'm surprised how naive the people are. Is that they put in the president's chair somebody with several bankruptcies, horrible business record, the rapist and the convicted felon, expecting him to deliver goods to American people. Here is what I've done for you. Your wages are growing, your economy is growing, and all this stuff. It doesn't work. Please, you're not born yesterday. How you don't understand that you're dealing with the extremely dangerous criminal? That's what he is.
So okay. So earlier we were talking about timeshare scams. I think, can you talk about like if a gold company and a silver company is advertising in the newspaper and on Fox News, that seems like that you should buy these coins. That seems like a terrible way to invest in gold and silver, right? You're going to overpay.
If you really made up your mind to invest in gold or silver, why would you read some kind of announcement by shady companies when you can go on the market? There is enough ETFs investing in gold and silver and other metals, and just get your position in one of the ETFs. So you don't have to figure out what's a better investment, which mine will be more profitable than the others, or so on. Just go and buy ETF.
Because you don't know what you're doing, because you watch Fox News, you're underinformed, that they scare you into saying you need to own gold, and then when you pass away, your kids find out you've been spending thousands of dollars on these coins that aren't worth much. I think that happens to thousands of families where the old, the person who doesn't know what they're doing. My grandpa went crazy for coins, and some of the coins he bought, he was a smart guy, but maybe not some of the coins turned out to be extremely valuable, like Morgan silver dollars uncirculated. Other coins were these Franklin Mint things that are worth like nothing.
Well, exactly. This is almost similar to what buying time sharing. See, the problem is that all proposition of buying timeshare is a losing proposition, whether you're buying from a reputable company or not so reputable company, whether you're buying in the United States or in the Caribbean islands, or it doesn't matter. It's a flawed proposition for intellectually lazy people, that they think, oh, look at how smart they are. Oh, here's a timesharing. I'm going to own this and that for not so much money or so on. This is same thing when you're listening to advertisements to buy some coins or so on. Who is paying for these advertisements? The companies that are selling these coins, or they're making enough money from the suckers who are born every minute, as we know, and so they continue to be able to pay for more and more advertising, bring in more suckers. And I'm not saying that everybody who will buy these coins will lose money. A majority probably will. And because there is a markup on this, why don't you buy a gold through ETF? You don't own physical gold and you don't need it. You don't worry about where to store this gold and paying for storage charges. You don't need all this garbage. You just buy ETF. As soon as the gold moves a little bit higher, the ETF moves higher. If it moves lower, the ETF will move lower. You're in a level playing field. There is no scams. At least that I know.
There are also ETFs where you can make even stronger bets. You can buy like a double gold ETF. If gold goes up 1%, this ETF goes up 2%.
Yeah.
I made some money a few years ago on a triple negative ETF, where if gold went down 1%, I made 3%. If you like gambling this way,
well, speaking of gambling, and we only got a few more minutes to go, and we've talked about it on this network before in the early days of the network, but there are a lot of people that it kind of comes down to that notion that Nick and sometimes Kim talk about of the 1% that are successful, but there are a lot of people that are making money off of various multi-level marketing schemes. I mean, basically, let's admit it, that's what Mary Kay and Amway are and everything like that. But there's only a select few that actually make enough money to get the pink Cadillac, if you want to talk about Mary Kay, or if you want to talk about prepaid and everything like that. So what is our thoughts about that? Because there are a lot of people that are trying to figure out a way to make a lot of quick money. So they are trying to get involved in a number of these things. And I could go down the list.
You're talking, the basic structure is all Ponzi scheme, where you get in early, you pump up the value by talking up a product, and then you get out and leave the suckers holding the losses. And this works for a lot of people. There's a company just south of us called Herbalife that is doing this stuff for 30, 40 years. People keep trying to take down the company, but it survives. People try to short it. They invest in the idea that the company is a house of cards and it will tumble. But no. So
and aren't some of these companies on the stock market? Because I think Mary Kay is actually on the stock market exchange and everything like that. So I think Mary Kay has actually gotten big enough to be on the stock market, and I think Amway is on the stock market. But Sasha, you know that.
Herbalife is on the stock market too. But you see, Herbalife, I'm not so much familiar with what they're doing, except that they are generating cash flow. They are actually selling the right way or the wrong way, or maybe they are breaking some laws here and there, but they are actually pushing the product and collecting the money. So money is going on a chain and eventually reaches headquarters. So
there's a show on HBO called Industry, and this season they're talking about all this scam where you short a company that you think is doing fraudulent stuff. It's a very perverted show. If you like people doing kinky stuff and also learning a little bit about the stock market, it's a show for you.
Is it as good as the Mormon show, which is supposed to be about Mormon real estate? Because I think there's
the Mormon show, nobody gets pegged on the Mormon show.
But you know the show I'm talking about, the one where they're all like real estate agents, or some of them are real estate agents. And then,
I would suggest that OnlyFans is a semi-Ponzi scheme. OnlyFans now has 3.3 million models on it. And most people don't make much money for showing their butt cracks. But the pyramid of people showing their boobs and butts builds up to a few very hardworking, very smart, very attractive pornfluencers who stand atop this mountain to make $100,000 a year from porn subscribers. And the gig economy, the tech-driven gig economy, leads to like semi-Ponzi structures like OnlyFans, where you've got a zillion people compromising themselves for the chance that they'll belong to the 1/10 of 1% who make real money.
Well, speaking of people that make real money, and this will be my last question for everybody, what do you think about the gig economy companies that are making tons of money, but they have their own troubles? I'm thinking about things like Uber, and one that I use quite often, probably too often, DoorDash and Grubhub and things like that, because I'm thinking that there are some people that are making a decent amount of money using their cars and their vehicles to transport
all right,
people.
There's a new book out by Cory Doctorow called Enshittification. And it explains how these gig economy companies work. And it's a 4-step process. Step 1, be a great company that gives free stuff to everybody. Facebook, Uber, rides started off cheap. DoorDash, they start off by giving you a $30 free delivery. And then they build up a base of hundreds of millions of subscribers. And investors pile into the company because they see it's growing like crazy. And then the investors eventually are like, well, you guys need to start making some money. So then the level of niceness goes down, that you don't get free stuff anymore. And so the customers start getting screwed. That's step 2. Step 3, the company still isn't making a profit. So they screw the businesses who are associated with the company. And step 4 is where Twitter/X is. It just goes completely to shit.
Well, on that same note and everything, Sasha, I'm thinking, because I was actually mentioning this to somebody, we could do something similar here on Pod TV. We could actually make some of Ken's game tips actually be only available to certain subscribers and all along those lines. So is that something that you have thought about, where maybe Ken, instead of Ken giving this advice and his wonderful advice on these wonderful games to everybody, that he only reveals certain secrets to certain subscribers? Because that would be the subscription base that a lot of these podcasters are doing these days.
Yeah, I could do definitely something about investments. Ukrainian show, no. Chess, yes. There are positions that could be advisable, or openings to play. And on investments, you have to be more careful because, I'm not, actually it's easy for me because I'm not a qualified investment advisor, so I'm not breaking any laws by suggesting that. Actually, that's what I'm doing with my programs. I'm saying, here is what I'm doing these days. This is my position. I'm not suggesting that you should do the same, but at least it's. I provide additional knowledge, and I provided wealth of my experience. It doesn't mean that I'm always right, but most cases I am.
Hey, Rick, when are we going to artwork to sell on the network and everything like that? Because that's part of the reason you've been doing Naked at Night every 2 weeks. So I guess the next one will be
Lance
on the
is working
14th.
on what's going to be a great painting of our model Cassidy. And if you want to auction it, it'll need a base, like if somebody doesn't bid a certain amount determined by Lance, then he won't sell the painting. But we'll talk with Lance and see if he wants to try doing that.
That sounds like a possibility.
That painting is probably a couple months away from being done, because the longer Lance works on a painting, like I don't know how long Da Vinci worked on the Mona Lisa. It was probably years. He kept noodling with it, and that's considered one of the greatest paintings. And so the longer Lance works, the better the painting gets.
Yep, that makes. And on that note, we're going to get on out of here. I did learn something, Jatovi, from watching Roku and everything along those lines, and that is that the network, at least on Roku, is very time sensitive. So this last minute and 2 minutes and everything has not been recorded to the show on Roku, because they actually cut us off, and they actually cut y'all off on the news show because they went to a Kendu Spices commercial at exactly 9:59. So apparently, if we get to the 9:59 or 10 o'clock mark, then some of this stuff is actually saved for later recordings and everything like that. But yeah, I just learned that today because I was watching. I was like, wait a minute, they're not covering this part on the Roku. So that's just something that people can pay attention to. But on that note, we're going to get on out of here. I know that I'll see Sasha on tomorrow not tomorrow, on Wednesday on the investment show, and I'll also see him on the Ukraine-Russia show, because I've sent him the links for the month of February. So he's got those links ready. And we look forward to seeing him on Tuesday and seeing Jatovi on World Edition tomorrow, if I don't talk to him later on here in Durham in this cold weather. But right now, let's get on out of here.